Pyramid One Radio.
Welcome to Pyramid One World Radio Network. You can call in and talk to our hosts by dialing 60547257666, then dial the access code 60860, and you're ready to be part of a worldwide movement to educate everyone listening to these shows. Let's begin dialing.
Dr. Randall George Nozawa, after all his pain and enlightenment due to near-to-death experiences. Now, the doctor is here for the world, and you, the audience, to learn, listen, and awaken. Some of the subjects he's going to touch on are the 8 pillars of wellness, which are nutrition, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, relationships with self, others, with the environment, management of toxins, finances, many of the new technological advances that have brought many solutions and conveniences, but also more new problems. And sadly, greed, power, and sex. Food that's no longer fresh from the earth and our water has been hijacked and contaminated by the big agricultural businesses or chemical companies like the ones we know about, and poisoned with herbicides or insecticides and antibiotics, petroleum products stored in chemical bleaching plastics filled with illness-causing GMOs and used as a political fodder to control humankind, infecting us with diseases and making us beholden to the pharmaceutical criminal racket. Combine the enormous stresses of earning an income, inactivity because of work requirements, and travel, the toxins building up in our bodies, divine gifted bodies, and sliding further down the sinkhole of hopelessness and helplessness. Humankind is suffering, and dying. Call the doctor today on his shows. Talk to the doctor. Listen to a show that will probably be a #1 daytime listening show on or before the year 2020, I predict. With great respect, it is Pyramid One Worldwide Radio Network's honor to introduce Dr. Randall George Nozawa.
Oh yeah, he's there, right? Yeah.
Here we are.
Hey, listen, let me just remind everybody, the number here to call in is 605-472-5765, and the access code is 608060 #. Doctor, I want to play this part before we begin so that people can see exactly what we're talking about. This is all over a lot of areas that people have no idea what I'm going to play. They have no clue. I actually called up a couple of people today that usually they've called in on other shows and things and that. So I figured, let me call them up and see what they think. They go, I never heard that before. Oh, really? Well, it's new, and it was out, and it explained a lot of things about marketing and the pharmaceutical companies, and the fact that only America, I should be singing the song, right? Only America and New Zealand are the only two countries in the world that allow pharmaceutical ads, advertisements, marketing, online and at the same time on TV in front of everybody that views TV. And approximately 60% of a lot of the ads that are on TV, and you'll hear it in the video, about 60% is pharmaceutical, and companies like NBC, CBS, CNN, ABC, and I could go on even more with this, WPIX and things like that. They're all heavily, and I mean heavily, I mean like 40 to 50% funded by pharmaceutical companies to get their ads on those channels to make you buy them. Now, why would you buy something like that? Listen to the video and I'll show you how.
In most of the world, this is a strange sight. It's a TV commercial for a prescription drug. These ads are legal in most countries, but in the US, they're everywhere. On average, 80 of them air every hour on American television.
Ask your doctor.
Ask your doctor.
My doctor told me.
Ask your doctor.
The American Medical Association, a major group of doctors, has called for a ban on these direct-to-consumer ads. But there's a case to be made for them too. So today we'll take a look at both sides. First, a little background. Before the 1980s, prescription drug commercials were unheard of in the US. Drug companies focused their marketing solely on doctors, and they didn't want to hurt those relationships. When asked by Congress in 1984 if direct-to-consumer advertising should be allowed, one pharmaceutical executive said,
"The direct advertising of prescription pharmaceuticals to consumers would be detrimental to the pharmaceutical industry, and more importantly, a potentially disruptive element in our medical delivery system as a whole."
And an executive at Schering-Plough, which is now part of Merck, said,
"We have serious concerns about proposals to allow advertising directly to patients. We do not believe it is in the public health interest. Indeed, we believe that in most cases it cannot safely be accomplished."
Needless to say, they changed their minds. At the time, there was a larger cultural shift in healthcare toward empowering patients to make decisions rather than just listening to their doctors. And advertisements fit with that trend. Drug ads started appearing in print publications, but there was still another thing keeping them off of TV, and that was FDA's regulations at the time. They were interpreted as requiring ads to include all the information about the drug's risks and side effects, which simply wasn't feasible to do in a TV or radio commercial the way it was in a magazine. There was a bizarre loophole, though. The ads didn't have to mention the drug's risks if they also didn't mention the disease or the condition that the drug was supposed to treat. Here's what that looked like in an ad for Claritin back before it was available over the counter.
It's time. It's time.
Don't wait another minute for Claritin.
Claritin. I'll ask my doctor.
It's time to see your doctor.
Mr. Wilkin, the doctor will see you now.
At last, a clear day is here.
Confused? Yeah, everyone was. So in 1997, the FDA clarified that the industry could run the full drug ads and wouldn't have to give all the risk information from the label, as long as they included the major side effects and referred viewers to another source for the rest. That's why the commercials direct us to phone numbers or print ads. Come for the pharmaceutical fine print, stay for the secret to crisp contact and soggy conditions. That new FDA guidance removed the main barrier keeping drugs off of television, and you can guess what happened next. Spending on ads quadrupled by 2004, and now we know the names of prescription drugs like we know the names of cars and clothing brands.
Lunesta, Xanax, Celebrex, Flomax, and HGH.
And as of Thursday, Lipitor.
Oh, and if you have trouble sleeping, Marla has Ambien. I prefer Lunesta.
Lipitor, baby aspirin, Flomax.
Flomax?
And some Cialis! I'm just assuming.
So that's how we got here. Drug ads are now the most frequent form of health communication that most Americans see. So what does that mean for public health? Are those prescriptions going to the right people? Or are they going to people who probably won't benefit from the drug? People for whom the potential risks outweigh the potential benefits? Well, the answer seems to be both. A clever experiment in 2005 tested this by sending actors to real primary care doctors.
We helped them make appointments. We generated fake insurance cards. We did this all with the permission of the physicians in advance, but the physicians didn't know which of their new patients that were coming to see them were real patients versus actors.
In half of the visits, the actors reported symptoms of depression. In the other half of visits, the actors said they were feeling down after becoming unemployed. The study authors called this an adjustment disorder.
That's essentially a condition in which watchful waiting is probably most appropriate, and that, in the view of many, an immediate prescription for antidepressants would be excessive.
In some visits, the actors mentioned seeing an advertisement for Paxil on TV. That's an antidepressant. In others, they didn't bring up medication at all. And the doctors seemed to take patients more seriously if they mentioned seeing the Paxil commercial. They were more likely to refer patients to a mental health consultation, and much more likely to prescribe an antidepressant. That may be a good thing for those with major depression who might benefit from a medication, but it's more questionable for those with a more temporary condition.
For us, it typified the double-edged sword which direct-to-consumer advertising represents.
This study and others have shown that doctors can be persuaded to broaden the scope of who gets treated with drugs, and advertisements often seem designed to encourage that. Take androgel. It was approved to treat men with hypogonadism. That's extremely low testosterone levels due to injury or disease. But here's how it was promoted by Abbott.
Millions of men 45 and older just don't feel like they used to. Are you one of them? Remember when you had more energy for 18 holes with your buddies? More passion for the one you love?
Some middle-aged men don't feel like they used to? You don't say. A study looking back at 10 years of testosterone prescriptions found that only half of the men had been diagnosed with hypogonadism in the previous year. Drug ads give the industry an incentive to make healthy people feel unhealthy.
This is the only FDA-approved prescription treatment for inadequate or not enough lashes.
And they contribute to unrealistic expectations about what pharmaceuticals can do. So what's wrong with that? Well, every single drug comes with risks. Big ad campaigns are usually for newer drugs, for which not all the risks may be known yet. In the case of the painkiller Vioxx, a massive ad campaign led millions of people with arthritis to switch to Vioxx instead of sticking with older drugs like ibuprofen.
Ask your doctor today about Vioxx and find out what Vioxx can do for you.
Vioxx was more expensive and not actually more effective. And
the manufacturer of Vioxx has recently pulled this popular arthritis drug from the market over health concerns.
Merck withdrew the drug after it became clear that it increased the risk of heart attacks and stroke. A Kaiser Permanente study later confirmed that ad exposure was linked to inappropriate prescribing of Vioxx and a similar drug called Celebrex. So that's a worst case scenario. But there's also an argument that these ads can be good for public health.
You know, there are many diseases for which people don't seek treatment. So if you can educate through direct-to-consumer people about the fact that this can be treated, you will get a better outcome for everyone.
In their view, more communication with your doctor is always a good thing, and it's up to the doctor to make the right prescribing decisions. Surveys of the public have confirmed that drug ads prompt people to visit their doctor, in some cases for diabetes, hypertension, depression. These are conditions that are thought to be undertreated. And in the case of the HPV vaccine that's now recommended for all preteens to prevent cervical and other cancers, Merck's ad blitz for Gardasil probably reached more people than a government communications effort could. And whatever you think of erectile dysfunction drugs, they got men to see their doctors and undergo the required heart screening, potentially catching problems not yet treated. But the strongest argument in favor of drug ads may be the legal one. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of prescription drug advertising back in the 1970s when the state of Virginia tried to prohibit pharmacists from advertising their prices.
We further hold that so-called commercial speech is not wholly outside the protection of the First and 14th Amendments. The individual consumer and society in general may have strong interests in the free flow of commercial information.
It was the first time that the court said advertisements were entitled to free speech protections. There was only one dissenting justice at the time, William Rehnquist, who Ronald Reagan would later appoint Chief Justice. In his dissent, Rehnquist wrote a kind of uncanny prediction of the type of commercials that would come decades later. Don't spend another sleepless night. Ask your doctor to prescribe Seconal without delay. Rehnquist worried that ads would, quote, generate patient pressure on physicians to prescribe drugs, and that they'd end up being advertised on television. And as we now know, for better or for worse, that's exactly what happened.
And that is why we are here tonight with Dr. George Nozawa. Doc, how are you doing?
God, wonderful. Boy, listening to that makes me want to go get some. Not really, but
I heard the one about the mail problems. I'm saying to myself, oh my gosh, you know the little box.
I got that. Oh yes.
You ever see the little? Wait a minute. You ever see the little box on the? There was somebody we were talking about census and everything else now because they knocked all the census thing, all kinds of crazy and that about people saying they're not citizens or whatever. And I said, it's crazy because they ask you like what color you are, what your background is, where were you born, all that kind of stuff, and then they put down sex. And I said, you know what I put on mine? They said, no. I said, yes. I do. I swear to you, I cross yes and no out, and I put down yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sex, yes.
Best
I mean,
answer.
seriously, come on, I mean, what are these guys? What else do they want to know about me too?
No, it's just absolutely amazing. But no, thanks for that clip. This is what's out there, and just to go back to your point, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's created that Children's Health Defense, that organization there, he's actually very good friends with Roger Ailes, who created Fox News, and in one of their conversations, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says, I want to get on an interview on your station, and then Roger Ailes goes, that would never happen because if any of my hosts got you on, I would fire them because drug companies, what they pay us is an incredible sum, and it's 70% of our income that's non-election years. And he goes, oh, okay. So the money is absolutely massive. And what's happened is what I've learned is that drug companies, vaccine companies, and what we call them big pharma now, $1.2 trillion business, right? They use this technique called propaganda psychology, and it's the same technique that Hitler used and what our current president is using. And what that is that it's called tell a big lie, and then keep on telling that big lie, so you condition it to the listener. And what happens? Just plain psychology, is that you tell a big lie that's just so large that it seems almost impossible, but in the listener's mind, it possibly could be possible, if you can imagine that. And you keep on telling a lie, and even when you're wrong or proved wrong, you keep telling a lie. And so you end up convincing other people that it's okay. And so what weird thing about humans and how we think is that you keep on listening to the same lie from someone or someone's companies, especially if they want to say something, you end up believing it. And this is what's happened. And last year, in the United States, the bills that were sent out to insurance companies and all, or the charges that were made, $3.6 trillion. So it is quite a big business. And what's happening, for the title of this show, Pilfer and Ill and Getting Sicker, it's really true. We're one of the richest countries in the world, and we're all getting sicker. There's so many chronic diseases, and it's escalating, and especially from this clip here from the 80s, when drugs became being able to be sold on television, and here in New Zealand, the only countries, and the upstart of vaccines, selling more vaccines. When I was a kid, there were like 3. Now there's 17. And in years, there's going to be, the 24, 25. And you have to wonder if there's a pill for an ill, or that there's some kind of drug that can be sold and given, causing unknown damages because none of them are tested, not well anyway. big money's been making, but we have what we call medical doctors, and they've actually become shills for the pharmaceutical industry because they dispense drugs. You come in, you tell your physician's assistant that what your problem is, and the doctor hustles in, and he's got 50, 60 patients to see that do his insurance billing, for, and then he goes, hey, I'll write you the script, and if it doesn't work, call me on Monday, and so this goes on, and what happens is what's never talked about is that as for the patient goes, where the person doesn't ask the right questions, they never ask, well, when do I get off of it? You never do. You take it for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're the pharmaceutical company going, yes, a customer for life, this is just wonderful. And so drugs make billions of dollars a year, and then since 2013, they've been 8,000 drugs that have been recalled, kind of like you do with cars, right? But 8,000 drugs that have been recalled, and a lot of them are the ones that we hear most, on TV, and what circulates around in the community, and what doctors tell you is for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, anything for your heart. And then this one segment I listened to said that with the recall on the high blood pressure medications is that, one, they were tainted with bacteria and viruses. They weren't, they weren't sterile, or they weren't just the drugs there, but also broken glass and these other contaminants that really weren't supposed to be in there, but they were in there anyway. And they found that these things really actually didn't work and cause the start of kidney, liver, and pancreatic cancer, and from there breathing problems. So it's like, you take this med meant for high blood pressure that doesn't really work. It's got this contaminants in there, and then you get cancer out of the deal. Wow, that doesn't sound really great to me. But your physician will keep you on it. And in the same segment, I forget the name of this one heart medication, is that they didn't really go through the recall, but they just told the pharmacist, it's going to be about 4 months till we get to it, so you can just dispense them, but just give them that warning that it's being reviewed by the manufacturer. So these drugs are already been tainted, already doing physical harm, but they still keep it out there, all because of money, and quite the racket. And like I said, for a very rich and smart country, we're getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and drug companies are getting richer, and medicine has become an industry, just like the military, and medicine and government are the only two businesses that make the customer, us, either sicker or not served, but they still keep on making money. Usually when that happens to regular businesses, you go out of business. But in this case, the sicker you make us, or the more unhappy that you make us, you make more money. Kind of a weird thing, but it comes down to this propaganda psychology, propaganda marketing. You tell a big lie enough times, and you keep on repeating it, and people will buy. And we're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. But what's happened too, the basis of all this is that we've gotten away from using food as medicine, and this comes from Hippocrates, and the same in Ayurveda. It's an East Indian type of medicine and a lifestyle, is that food will cure all diseases if it's whole, fresh food, coming from the ground and not contaminated with herbicides and pesticides and antibiotics, hormones, preservatives, and petroleum problems, things like that. Food can be used as medicine, but we've gotten away from that, and all you have to do is go to your grocery store and find out what's there, and you're going to look for the sales, the 5 for $1 kind of deal, or if it's sweet, extra sugar in it, packaged in plastics, which leach BPA, which causes endocrine dysfunction and start cancers. And we find that our food supply has been contaminated. And by what we call the agribusinesses, the big agricultural type of businesses, and part of those are the chemical companies, and we know them already. The one everyone knows or should know is Monsanto, and now it's Monsanto Bayer, Dow, DuPont, Syngenta, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and all chemical companies. And if you remember Monsanto, they created DDT, Agent Orange.
They only own maybe 100 companies.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I mean, seriously speaking, I mean they cornered the market in killing people.
Yes, and then now they're in our food supply now.
Yep, exactly.
With using Roundup and the glyphosate and Roundup, and purposely lying on all the ingredient type of information there, saying that it's perfectly safe and anyone can use it and kids can use it and you can spray it on the grass and you can have the kids roll around on it and all that. And you've got I think maybe 11,000 lawsuits on the docket there, and they've lost their first 3, and then that's over $2 billion worth. So
do you know what they're doing tomorrow? And by you too, it's probably the same thing. You got a Home Depot up by you?
Yes.
Okay. Grab somebody who can see, and walk in the store, with them. I swear to you, Roundup is all over Home Depot and Lowe's. Those 2 places. Tomorrow, it's on sale. Now you can get it at a reduced price to cause cancer in your lifetime. Yes, come here. I'm serious. When I look at this, I even wrote the company. They never wrote me back. I said, how can you sell something that you absolutely know is losing in court because it causes cancer, and now the whole country knows that you sold it to them? I said, what do? You give them a refund, or do you go to court? I said, if I were you guys, I'd take that stock and get rid of it quick.
No, it's pretty amazing, and the Bear stock has really hit a snag there, but they're still going forward and they're still selling it, but with the caveat, we're making it safer. I say the thing causes cancer, and then you haven't done anything to it because you're selling the same thing, and there's no work on it and for improvement and all that because you don't have to. But see, that's the one thing with the propaganda marketing, is that you keep on telling the lie even though people know that it's a lie and keep at it, and for some reason the masses just will ignore it. They'll only focus on that one thing, just like these drug ads, because even though some of the side effects, not all of them, are listed, they kind of forget that, and they'll listen to the nice music and the soothing voice, and they go, oh, and then now they know more about this drug than their doctor does, so they educate their doctor about what this drug is, and this new symptom that they have of illness, which they never had before until they listened to it on TV. So now they have this illness, oh, well, I've got to get that taken care of. This takes care of it. And so they go make their appointment, and now they'll go buy the thing. But it's it's really quite amazing. I'll bring up this one section that I listened to the other day on our former President Eisenhower. He had a heart attack in 1955, and he hired this very world famous cardiologist, Paul Dudley White, who was one of the co-founders of the American Heart Association, of all things. But he here in President Eisenhower, he had a heart attack. Okay, and then so here are the stats. Here, he was 172 pounds. He worked out every day, and he had a cholesterol level of 165, very low. Okay,
very low.
But Dr. White was convinced that fat and high cholesterol was the cause of his heart attack. And so he got President Eisenhower on, just a kind of like cornflake kind of breakfast here, bread, and no meats and things like that.
Probably
and,
a lot of grains.
And just all vegetable oil and cottonseed oil, canola, and things like that, all vegetable products. And what I learned there is that I mentioned that the company Procter & Gamble, back when they were an upstart soap and candle making company, and that's all they sold. But they used animal fats to make their products. So they hired this guy named Edwin Kaiser to find out, can you find a replacement for animal fats, because this is too expensive, and he found cottonseed oil, which is actually toxic. You usually throw away the seeds, but what they did was that they turned cottonseed oil into vegetable oil for sale, and it looked just like that. It was white, it was gooey and icky and all that, and so Procter & Gamble just rocketed up to immense profits, and you still hear their name, and so that's what has become some of the replacements in our foods. So instead of animal fats, which people say, saturated is bad, animal is bad, and all that, since that has happened, in the late 50s, early 60s, heart attacks were on the rise slightly, but now it's a major killer in our country and in the world. So we've got 600,000 deaths in the United States, and that's rising along with cancers and diabetes. But for President Eisenhower, he lived another 14 more years, but he had another 14 more heart attacks. And then he had an intestinal infection, and then his brain started to bleed. So there is something to be said about animal fats, because omega-3 fatty acids do come from animal fats also. And you do need a mix of animal type of protein, animal fats, plus a lot of fruits and vegetables, a lot of plant food and all that. But it's the vegetable oils, which are the omega-6 fatty acids, that is causing the problem. And that shortened President Eisenhower's life and all that. And that one move, and supported by Ansel Keys, who lied on his research about cholesterol and fat, and that changed the nutritional direction of the United States, where everyone went to low fat and replace that with salt, replace that with sugar, and then from there sugar substitutes, which kills gut bacteria where you can't digest foods. And the escalation of all these chronic autoimmune diseases, and come the 80s, you have the vaccine companies wanting to stick your child with more and more vaccines that are not tested, like these drugs are not tested, or they're tested cursory-like, just to satisfy FDA rules, which are very lax. And as you know, FDA, CDC, EPA, they're all shills for the drug companies. They all accept funds from the drug companies, a lot of money, and all these agencies hold patents too, so they make money off these drugs. And so instead of food as medicine, and medicine be thy food, okay, we have pill for an ill. And so you come up with a sniffle, you hear something on TV that tells you you're not normal, you automatically call your doctor up. Oh, I've heard about this pill that's going to make me normal or healthier or better looking or something like that, and you go, let me get this. And your doctor is forced to prescribe that, because he has a patient that actually knows more than he does. He got educated by his patient by what was on TV, and so this is a never-ending trend. And as a country, we're getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and we're getting away from actual food, and people aren't knowing what they're eating. And there's a lot of commentary out there say, if you have to read the label on something, then you shouldn't be eating it. you know, you know, like that. A lot of people, you know, believe in a God or the divine and all that, and even if you don't, I guess you might want to kind of take heed of this. You know, is that if God didn't make it, don't eat it, don't put it on your skin, don't wash with it, and because it's going to get into your body, it's not supposed to be there. But,
yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, but you know, for pharmaceuticals, you know, I just call them just drugs. Yeah, pill for no, because any little thing, there's something for it now. So what we back when would call normal, now it's abnormal, and we have to fix it. And now there's a pill for that. And usually the pills don't work. Sometimes drugs, especially antibiotics, for a short period of time can save a life. But we've taken that, in drug companies mainly, and turned it into just a massive money machine. When you're talking about a $1 trillion you know, business, that's a lot of drugs being sold.
No, the cost though, the drugs, the cost. Now they're going all kinds of crazy in there because you have, you know, people are saying, well, I got to go to Canada for my drugs, and that because I can't get it here in the United States. I'm going to give you, and all listeners, because I mean I'm personally involved in this. I had my yearly 1-2, and then the doctor gives me all the stuff and everything else, and then you got to do this, that, and the other thing. You know what it is. They bring you out to find out if you're still human. She said I'm good enough to go through 2 more divorces, so I got a little bit of time to go. But you know, with all this that's going on, that they do this test, blood test. I mean, they took enough blood. I mean, no wonder it didn't look like a prune or a raisin when I walked out. But, you know, they take all the blood and everything else, and they do all their tests and everything else. And my cholesterol, she said, was a little high for my age. I said, okay, you know, you get older, it gets a little higher. What are you going to do, you know? So she said to me, well, she says, I got to give you Lipitor. And I said, Lipitor? What's Lipitor? She goes, well, it's something that's going to take care of it. It's going to control it and everything. I said, oh, okay. She said, well, we'll just get it down a little bit. So I'm thinking in the back of my head, the same way you just said before. So I can be, you know, should I say subject A, regular person walking in the street, you know, one of those kind of people. So, okay, I'm saying, okay, Lipitor. So I get home, and I finally get my drugs and everything else in it. And I've got it here. I've got a little thing of Lipitor. And that stuff, if I didn't have insurance, that stuff costs, if you get 30 days worth, it can go up to $400. I didn't know that. This is supposed to protect your heart, no heart attacks, and all this kind of stuff. And that you need that Lipitor. And this is what it was. I mean, I'm serious. She didn't have to sell me because I'm not the kind of person you could sell a bad, you know, a good pair of shoes to. But on the other hand, I'm the kind of person who does listen very well. And I said, oh, okay. But in the back of my mind, I'm saying, she's crazy. But that's okay. I like her. So I get the stuff and then get home, get online, start looking at things, write to a couple of doctors that I know that I've had on the show, and they say, do not take Lipitor. I was like, okie dokie, you know, don't take Lipitor. How come? You know, what would I do? I mean, is my sexual browsing gonna go right down the toilet? And they go, no, you're fine, no problem with that. Well, this is what I was steered to, and these doctors are not your normal guy. These are holistic doctors. They do everything according to plants and vegetables and normal things that are normal to us humans. They gave me, they told me to get a polycosanol, is one of the drugs, which is it's a vegetable based drug, and the other one is called red yeast rice, and it's also got milk thistle in it, and alpha lipidic acid.
Yep, for your liver, yep.
Okay, so you put those two together, and you take one of them each in the morning. They do more for you than Lipitor does, and they don't wreck your liver. Lipitor can wreck your liver. So if you have to take that thing on and on and on and on, somewhere down the line, you're either going to have liver failure or you're going to need a transplant. What they're doing is they're building their bases, their buildings, their businesses from the bottom up. Because if you take this stuff for a long time, you're going to be in the hospital getting a liver. Do you know what it costs to replace a liver? It's not an oil change. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're talking a couple $100,000 to replace a liver. So, okay, a couple $100,000 because somebody gave you Lipitor in the first place. And on the other hand, if you take this other stuff, it doesn't bother your liver.
One is that you know, you're a thinker, and then you have a lot of experience, and you've met a lot of people with this. But your average person out there, average viewer, and a lot of people watching the show, they're going to take advice, or they're going to go with the herd mentality, and it is actually manipulated conditioning or engineered conditioning, because you know we learn from you know what's out there with the consensus view is, and then we just partake in it. We don't ask questions. And another guest that we're going to have on the show, I think next time, Dr. Meryl Nass. She's the premier anthrax vaccine expert in our country, and she'll talk about vaccines and more about anthrax vaccine and how this poisoned millions of soldiers. But also, this was a colleague that came much before her at MIT. They both went to MIT. Stephanie Seneff. And listening to one of her interviews, she goes, you know, what causes heart attack is inflammation, and it's because of low cholesterol and something called sulfate, you know, which is found in plant foods and all, but if that's in your blood. But she goes, you know, all this thing with having too high cholesterol. She goes, you know, unless you have that genetic expression for that, it doesn't happen. Okay, and so it's low cholesterol that causes heart attacks. And he goes, people don't know that. He goes, most doctors don't know that, or they don't want to know that, because one is that they get their information from the drug companies, and so the pediatricians, and that's why pediatricians always want to get tell their parents to get their kids vaccinated, because that's where they get the information from, and from all that information comes from the CDC, which is corrupt, from the FDA, which is corrupt, from the EPA, which is corrupt. So, one, I'm glad you kind of took a step back to go listen to this, because it is actually low cholesterol that causes heart attacks.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the doctors are not telling you that, though. They're all going, "Oh my God!" You know, they give you a list. It's really funny. I mean, come on, this is like winning a race or a prize. You know, they give you a list. Well, between this number and this number, you're okay. But if you go over that number, which I was, just a little, just a touch, you know, enough to be seen. So I go over the list and that a little bit, and they go, "Oh well, first of all, the woman says to me." And as I said, I respect her as a doctor because she's pretty good. She knows her stuff. But she turns around to me and she goes, you know, you need more weight. I said, excuse me? She goes, well, he says, you're a little light. I said, light? She goes, yes, light. So I said, well, I'm 6'1", I'm 158 pounds. I said, what does that mean? I said, that just means I'm a lot faster than most guys running down the street if somebody was chasing me. But on the other hand, weight, if you have excessive weight, that's more work for your heart to pump blood through your body. Whether you got something in your blood or not, it don't matter. The bigger you are, the harder it works. And in hearts, let's face it, hearts weren't made by Kia. They weren't given a warranty. What happens is they only get used until the time that they're done working. And that's it. Boop, you're dead right then and there. And if I'm going to go over something, I'm serious. I mean, you know, God's going to drop something in my head before I'm going to die of something like that. And if I do go, I'll go with my dad. My dad went in seconds. In seconds. He had coronary sclerosis, which is when calcium blocks up the aorta going to the heart. It's like a cork being plugged in. That's it. You're gone. Finished. And that's how he went. I mean, if somebody wants to go fast, woof, that's the way to do it. He was a smart guy. And then when I went, finally, he met me at the door and told me I didn't belong there and threw me out. So, go figure. I'm serious. Go figure. But I'm serious. All these things that the doctors are saying, there is, It's money. It's all money. If, like today, every single thing that you do, but see, people don't know this. I swear. I mean, I talked to some people today, and they thought I was coming from another planet. Every single thing that you do by a doctor is put into HIPAA, HIPPA. That is a federal registry of medical records for every single person under your Social Security number. Your Social Security number goes in, your name goes in, your date of birth goes in, and all three of them are linked together. And anywhere in the country that you go that something happens to you, that doctor, emergency room, clinic, whatever, can get into your medical records and see what you're doing, what you're taking, how you've been, how many times you've been examined, where you've been examined, what happened to you, etc. So when they get all that information, then they can fix you wherever you are in a nation. Well, that's really, really good. On the other hand, every single prescription you get written by a doctor under their doctor's number goes into HIPAA. So they also know every single drug you've been prescribed. Where does that lead us? That leads us down the wrong path. Because of the plain fact is, these guys, whoever they are, says, oh, we took that and that and that. Meanwhile, while that doctor will say, oh, wow, I want to get on that one. He was really good getting those prescriptions refilled, you know. The doctor that originally filled the prescription, if it's in HIPAA, the company, the pharmacy company, pharmaceutical company, the Merricks and the Pfizers, can see that person's scripts. How many times she wrote for this drug? How many times she wrote for that drug? And she gets bonuses. Yeah, they got sales bonuses for selling. Who knew? So, okay, so this doctor got a brand new, can get a brand new Mercedes on my prescription. Who knows? Maybe I was the one that pushed her over the bonus point thing. I don't know. But this is what they do. All these crazy drugs, and I mean, I'm serious, they'll drive you nuts, like Vicodin. Oh, boy, that's a crazy one. And then they have Adderall. Then they have Nortab. Then they have Norco. Then they have Ambien. Then they have Xanax. Xanax, forget it. They'll give you that till next year. Then they got some other ones, Neutrontin, Mort's Attack. All these drugs have great names, but what are they? When were they tested? All these things that you see on TV, new this week, and they come out with this name that's supposed to be pretty, and you see these people all, jumping around and everything else, big smiles on their faces, sitting by a lake somewhere and fishing, and they're beautiful and healthy. On the other hand, that brand new name is a brand new name that hasn't been tested yet. And you know what? Just for the heck of it, let me, if I can, let's see. Can I go back and do the other? Maybe. What would do if I could? Let me show you something. People often say, they didn't say something would kill me. I said, you want to make a bet? So what I did was I put together something for everybody. Now, the very, very end of it is kind of funny stuff in it, but it just shows how much you listen. I put that part in, the end part in, so that I could see how many people that are listening, because I want somebody to call me up or send me an email and say, hey, you jerk, what'd you put that in the end of the thing for? I mean, seriously, this is really, really, really bad, and I have another one that I'm going to use on another meeting with you one time. I swear to you, it's about 2 minutes long, and it's 2 minutes of the fastest language you ever heard, telling you more things that could possibly happen to any human being standing up on 2 feet. I swear to God. And it was behind all these new drugs. So here's the one that's, this is for, actually I think this one was for, what the heck was that thing? Some kind of a nasal thing, to keep you from hay fever.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get it on there.
People who take antihistamine are likely to develop certain cancers, as well as worsening and even new allergies. Other side effects include paralysis, neurocorrosion, seizures, AIDS, lung drowning, kidney failure, testicle erosion. change in skin pigmentation, dwarfism, moderate to severe Crohn's disease, cardiac arrest, detached retina, loss of teeth, peeling skin, death. Depression, anal leakage, loss of eyelids, sperm deficiency, erectile dysfunction. Stop taking any.
And more and more and more. And it goes on and on and on. If you listen to any one of the drug acts, or the drug advertisements that are on TV, and somewhere's in the middle, not the end, but somewhere's in the middle, they'll come out with that type of, denial, like they didn't do it kind of message on there. Like, if you die tomorrow, don't worry about it. We told you. We're not saying that we do not take any responsibility for telling anybody how to treat themselves or what to use on the show. We are not doctors. However, and I'm gonna really go out on this, I do know some doctors that can give some information of where to find information or what type of doctor somebody needs. That I can do. I can't tell you what's wrong with you and how to fix it, but I can tell you or direct you to a doctor that might be able to help you better. Not the doctor, but a certain type of doctor. What I like to use is holistic doctors. Holistic doctors are the ones that use everything that's natural. They don't go to drugs. The only time they go to drugs is when they have to. And if they have to, you needed it anyway. But if you didn't need it anyway, they'll tell you to do something else, like eat rice, green tea, or whatever. Something really, really crazy that's so natural it's not funny, like the other one, like the part of the ad that we heard before, where somebody, instead of using, what's his, ibuprofen, whatever, it's aspirin. So they gave it as drug that cost money, a lot of money, and it did nothing more than the aspirin did. Only this one had, what do you call it, adverse reactions on their body, as opposed to the aspirin, it does nothing. I mean, it goes in the mouth and it comes out somewhere else later on in the day. That's it, But it does take away the pain. So that's arthritis.
It's amazing, but it's money. And then, like I said, not all physicians are, educated in this. And what you're talking about with holistic healers or doctors, in addition to that, what they do is that they're trying to find root causes. What's causing the illness, because right now Western medicine is treating symptoms, and it's not getting you better, it's just treating symptoms, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we've been conditioned to run to the doctor when we have a sniffle, you have an itch, or you have a pimple, or something sore, and you go see your doctor. And what people are thinking and how doctors have been trained is, this pill will take care of that ill. Bye. And then, however, you take that pill forever. And so in your records, Bob, no matter where you go, you change doctors and all that, they're going to look at your chart and go, oh, you have high cholesterol, you have high blood pressure, you want to gain weight. Let me help you with all that. And so, these meds are going to stick with you forever, and then the past diagnoses will stick with you. It's like, you have depression. I said, oh, well, my father died that week. Well, you better still keep on taking these antidepressants and all that. Well, but that was 40 years ago. Well, you're still depressed. Let's keep on going. And so what's happening is that a lot of doctors, unless they're real holistic doctors, they're not listening to you. They don't look at your life. They don't see that about, back when in your childhood, of how that was, if you grew up in poverty or grew up being assaulted, or you saw violence back when, or if you're an athlete, or you didn't have food to eat, or they don't check who you are as a person. Or someday they look at the symptoms. Oh, you have a fever, or you have an ache or pain, your stomach's sore. So, oh, let's fix that. And not knowing that they're actually doing the right thing. They're not finding the root cause. They're treating symptoms, and then, like I said, they have an average of anywhere 5 to 7 minutes with you, and you really can't diagnose anything in 5 to 7 minutes. You got to sit and talk to this person for quite a while, and then they're out the door because they have 50 to 60 people to see. And one is that eventually that's changing here with functional medicine doctors and holistic doctors, because they're going to take time to listen, because we're all very different in how we live, how we digest foods, how our immune systems attack disease and all that. We're all very different, and then medications do work differently, and sometimes it's needed, but only for a short period of time. And even for those that are genetically predisposed, there are lifestyle things that you can do to combat all that, because what's happening is that there's this trend that it was here prior to the 1900s, but it's coming back here, where food is medicine, and we just have to learn more about that. But your drug company will not make money on food unless they sell it themselves or put some chemicals in there. So that they want to sell you drugs or what's called prescriptions, or medicine. That's the best word for it. But it's still drugs. Okay, and they make money off those drugs, and the drug sellers are your doctors. Unless they're trained in a different way. But most medical schools, all medical schools are were funded, by big pharma, and this started back when in the 1900s with Carnegie and Rockefeller. They helped get rid of all the chiropractic schools, all the naturopathic schools, all the holistic medicine schools, to make something called medical school for medical doctors who were trained in pharmacy, who were trained in pharmaceuticals to sell their drugs to treat your symptoms. And 100 years later, here we are, and we have a very sick nation that's getting sicker in the United States. More children, 1 out of 2 in the next 10 years that will have some kind of chronic disease. 1 out of 2 that will be on the autism spectrum. Okay, adults, 1 in 3 guys that will get cancer, 1 in 4 women that will get cancer, and many more women that will get Alzheimer's. And all after the 1970s, when drugs became a big part of our culture. And then, so we've been conditioned, we've been taught to go to the doctor with, what's normal symptoms of being alive, and then we see it on TV that now we have some kind of ailment or disease that can be treated by a fancy name drug, and just adds to the coffers of the pharmaceutical industry, because $1.2 trillion, that's quite a bit. And when in the United States of America, people are what is spent is $3.6 trillion on going to see your doctor, and they're getting to get a prescription out of the deal, is that we're becoming sicker, and we're letting it happen. And so what you did was you asked questions, and there's this good and bad about the internet, but what you've done is you looked up stuff, and that's what people have to do. They have to take personal responsibility and go look things up. So if your doctor recommends drug this, and ones you can't even explain or pronounce or spell, look it up. What's in it?
There's something about it, and you're on the right track with that. A lot of people, though, use the internet like a doctor. Do not do that. The internet is there that if you have a question that you would have asked the doctor, ask Google, see what they say, then call a doctor and say, listen, I read about this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And you tell them, like, look, this is no good, but they say this. Is that right? Ask the doctor, the guy that gave you the prescription in the first place. Because a lot of things, one of the things that scares the hell out of me, if you take a drug that's given to you to take, sometimes it's more detrimental for you to come off it after a long time being on it than it was for you to stay on it. Your body does not react to be going cold turkey by not taking it. So your body all of a sudden goes, wait a minute, hold it, man, I was enjoying this stuff. Give me that stuff back. So, okay, so that's your body. But on the other hand, your heart, your nerve system, and all the other things in your body that work around you as a human just fails all at the same time. Pow, there it goes. You didn't pay the power bill. Poof, you're done. But, as much as that is, a lot of people, some of the ones that I talked to, I mean, ever since you were gonna do this show, and had a couple of, a little over a week and a half ago, I asked some people net about pills and ills, because a lot of people, let's face it, I'm in around communities where there's 400 houses in here. Probably about 200 of them I know. It's like I'm going to lunch, in fact, tomorrow with 200 of them. But the thing is, with knowing these people, you can always say to somebody like, "Hey, listen, what did they give you for that motorized wheelchair you drive around in? What do you mean by that? Well, you're in it for some reason. What do they give you? Oh, well, they give me this. Yeah, does it really work for you? Why didn't you just say this is no good? Like, I'm good here in the chair. No, I'm not going to say that. He's a doctor. They all think doctors are gods. Don't do that. They're not gods. They're humans just like you are, and they can make a mistake just like you can. Do you want them to make a mistake on you? No. Get in there. Go look for the answers or something like that. So do you have a little bit more peace before taking something?
No. So I'm glad you bring all this stuff up, because I said if you knew nothing about just nothing out there, is that you can ask questions. And then, like I said, the internet, I think, is a good and bad place, but it's information that you can look up, and you could even possibly educate your doctor, because any human on earth, and whatever you're skilled at or whatever profession you have, you were taught something, and your knowledge is in the confines of what you were taught, unless you expand it out and you want to do you broaden your information base and all that. And so that there are a lot of folks out there that do research, because what we all own is our own bodies, our own spirit, and all that. And what you put in your body is what you decide to. And whether that is, if you don't want vaccines, that's up to you. If you don't want to eat sugar, that's up to you. If you don't want to eat flour, that's up to you. Or if you want Twinkies and Ho-Hos, that's up to you. And so the same thing with medications is that the expert on medications or drugs or pharmaceuticals is your pharmacist, because they make them up and they know what's all the ingredients in there. Okay. Doctors are trained to push these medications on you for symptom relief.
They're salespeople.
Yes, exactly. They're salespeople. That's a good point. And and then you think, oh well, is that the same thing as a used car salesman? Yes, it is.
Yeah, and the pharmacist is the mechanic.
That's right. Exactly. So the pharmacist is pragmatic. This is what's in it. Okay, and he goes, this is not great. If you're overweight, this is not great if you got heart problems. This is not great if you don't exercise. Okay, but he's the one that yes, he's a mechanic. He makes it happen. Okay, your doctor dispenses the thing, and not to disparage medical doctors, because the training is very incredible and all that, but they live within the confines that pharmaceuticals is your only option. Okay, and so even if you have emotional type of things, your dad died 50 years ago. Okay, well, you need antidepressants. Well, that was 50 years ago. So, I get sad once in a while, and it's probably not because your father died 50 years ago, but maybe something else. But everything is trying to be cured with a pill, and then what happens is that you never get off that pill. And then in our country here, 13% of the population is over 65, but in that 65 and over category crowd, is that they take 30% of all the pharmaceuticals that are dispensed in our country.
Ooh, yeah.
So doctors are saying, oh, you're old. and you might be in a nursing home or maybe not, but you're old, and we need to load you up on drugs. And this is even and you can complain, well, it was a rainy day yesterday, so I'm kind of sad. Oh, you need an antidepressant and things like that. Or yeah, I had a hard time sleeping the other night. The kids next door they got their new rock band going up, and they were playing all night. Well, you need Ambien, and so one turns to two, turns to three, and the average senior is taking anywhere from 3 to 5 meds here, and when that they can be getting more benefit from eating foods, walking. If they can't go that far, walk that far, yoga, Pilates, things they can do, at their house, that socializing, getting more community, where all the blue zones are. The community is actually what's most important. Interpersonal interactions, getting out, talking to people, being with people, and that's very healing. But
I'll give you one real quick. What 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 in the morning? I'm out doing my mile and a half, 2 miles, whatever, with my dog. I got a dog, 2-year-old dog, loves to walk in the morning. Oh boy, he lives for 3:30 in the morning. Then he goes back to sleep, the dummy. I don't, but he does. But we take our walk and everything else, and I talk to the dog and everything else. I mean, we have a great time. I mean, we see all kinds of crazy things. I mean, he sees rabbits and squirrels and all kinds of things. But it's a lot of fun. Your mind is clear. It's walking meditation when you're out. You're totally clean, clear. If something happens or hurts, you can find it. You know it's there. You even know when you go home what to do.
No, see, just in that small little example that you mentioned for you, is that you have companionship, and that's why animals are so great for being companions. But you're getting exercise out there, you're getting fresh air, circulation. Plus, it's a companion, and what happens too when people don't do that, you don't have to have a pet and all that, but to socially interact and all, you have this escalating. What's being diagnosed with anxiety or depression and all that, and your doctor has got a pill for that. Okay, and what if you took that walk every morning, or with a group of people? Say, hey, I'll meet you here. Let's go walk. How about that hill? I always want to get up that hill. What's on the other side of the hill? I don't know. And so, just being with community or with friends or working out together or exercising together or meeting up like that. That solves a lot of the depression, anxiety problems, because it's regular medications for that, anti-anxiety, anti-depression, and all. It often doesn't work or it's temporary, but causes more problems because it disturbs your digestion. And just like with that clip you just played, it messes with how you digest foods, stomach acidity. So you can't digest and absorb nutrients and all, and often it doesn't work. It doesn't work, okay? And just by what you just said, which is free, just walking around with your dog, with fresh air and all that, that works because it's coordination, and then you're getting a lot of air, through your nose and your lungs, which feeds your brain and all the cells in your body, so it oxygenates you.
Yeah, it's good for your heart and your circulation system.
Oh gosh, yes.
Your nerves.
And from there, all your brain neurotransmitters, your chemicals are all balanced now. Your body's in balance, and with that kind of stuff, you're as far as the bowels and all that. Eventually, you're moving around, and you've got the the blood going and the air going, and then you come back, and you're more able to eliminate. Whether it's pooping or peeing, just like your doggy does. And so you're ridding yourself of toxins that way, because now just standing upright is, we have to, live with gravity, right?
Oh yeah, that'll always work.
And from there, so your muscles, have got to contract, relax. It puts pressure on your bones, which keeps your bones strong, and then there's blood going through your organs and all that. So that helps you eliminate People become less constipated because in any average human, you have anywhere from 5 to 20 pounds of fecal matter, in your bowels. So when someone says you're full of crap, you really are. And so what you do with just the walking and the fresh air and things like that is you stimulate muscle contractions and movement, and that helps you eliminate, because there are pills for that too, to help you poop, and when you don't have to.
Man, I'm telling you, I've heard more stories about that. That's one of the things too. And you go into the office, and all of a sudden they say to you, "Did you ever get a claustration?" That crazy thing where they up your bazoo. Okay, so I said no, and she said just like that. I said it too. No, and she said to me, she says, "Well, why not?" I said, "Why?" So anyway, this all boiled down. First of all, the woman said, "You're crazy." I said, "I know that," but. See, I diagnosed myself. But, when I was all done with the whole thing, and I said to her, "Look," I says, "you got something else?" I said, "Come on, you're really into that stuff. What do you got?" So she goes, "Well," she says, "you got to go to the lab, and they give you this little test kit." I'm serious. And you go home and you test your thing and everything, and they do this test, and they find out whether you got cancer, you could get cancer, you got blood in there somewhere you could have anything. You could have ulcers. You could have all kinds of things. Now, it would still come out that way anyway. So the whole thing came back, and I said to her, "Look, lady, I'm telling you," I said, with all respect, I says, you're pointing at the wrong guy. I'm serious. I said, and I said this to her. I said this a million times. I'm an alien. You get that? Alien. So she looks at me like, now I'm really on the bad side of this. So she goes, "So just go here. Just go and get that thing." So all right, next morning, then I come back and I get my kit, go home, do my thing, bring back my kit, and I said to her, I got this little bag, right? Like I got it like 6 feet away from my body on the end of my finger, like, "Whoa, here, you take this."
Yeah.
So okay, I give them the thing. You know what? They call back about 2 days later, and then they say, "Well, your test is negative." I said, "Well, don't cry." I said, "You want tissues?" It's like, I told them that in the first place. I'm an alien. But, seriously, all these tests they can give you, and now I'm being serious now, serious. All the tests and everything that they can give you, they gave me altogether with that one blood test. I think it was close to about 80 different breakdowns of my blood. There was like 8 vials of blood. And I haven't gone to a real doctor, for, I would say, a good 25 years. Pretty easily. 25 years. I haven't gone near a doctor. But when you change over all these insurance things and everything else, they want you to go see a principal provider, doctor, to make sure that you're like standing up so that they're not insuring somebody that's going to die tomorrow, one of those things. So, okay, I go to this doctor and everything. And she, as I said, she was very nice, very smart, brilliant woman. But just like anything else in that, I knew what to expect. I knew when I walked in there, they were going to try to give me every pill, every test, every possible, anything you could possibly think of. Now that they've done all that and found nothing, except for they said my what's his name was high or something. That's it. That's all I got. Even salt, sugar, all those things. I'm all, perfect, right around. If it's average, it's average. I told her I'm an alien. That happens, But on the other hand, it's crazy. Every single person should, and I will recommend this, every person should go to a doctor, ask for a blood panel. It's called a panel? Yeah, it's a panel. And get whatever your poop, what's his test is that you're supposed to get. And you'll be good. Get your blood pressure and everything else. See what it is. If your blood pressure is a little high or a little low or whatever, that's where the walking comes in. Walk every day. Do at least, if you can't do a half mile or 3/4 of a mile, a little less. But if you can, go for a mile. All the time. Go for a mile. If you know what a mile is, if you don't know what a mile is, just measure it out. Every single time you take a good walk, with your legs going back and forth, it's probably about 3 feet. So just count how many steps you took times 3 when you get home, and you'll know how far you went. Right? It's like 2,005, whatever it is, in a mile, and they just measure the thing up. And then if you could do a mile every day, 7 days a week, early in the morning, even if it's 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, take that walk. I'm serious. Give it a couple of weeks. You'll feel $1 million. And when you go to sleep, you won't need the Ambien and the rest of this stuff. You will go to sleep. Your body will just boop off. I mean, mine, I can go to bed. I can go to sleep in 3 seconds.
You get up at 3:30 every morning, so yeah, I bet you could.
I'm serious.
No, it's just that even if it's your walking to the mailbox or seeing what's down across the corner or what's over the hill and all that, it's a different perspective, and your body was meant to be used, and that old saying is correct. You use it or lose it, because our bodies were meant for activity, and because everything's so made out of convenience now, with cars and everything, internet and everything's fast, speed, is that we tend not to use our bodies anymore for the physical work and cleaning your house, get someone else to do it, or things like that, or fixing your car, or washing your car, or just what you said with walking. Walking's free. Air is still free. Maybe not in the future, but right now it is.
Yeah, right. Probably that.
So the best way to not take pharmaceuticals or drugs is to, take personal responsibility of yourself, of your body, what you put in it, and what you do with it. So the more activity you have, the better foods you eat, whole foods and more plants, 85% or more, and non-GMO, and make sure they're organic, and you keep all the pesticides and herbicides off of them, and you get to take less medications, and so the healthier you're going to be, because there are forces in our world, especially in the Western world, with the things like medications or drugs, vaccines, certain foods, and you see those food commercials on TV too. And we get moved by them, and that's the engineered conditioning, or the manufactured conditioning, is that you see great ads for all the fast food things, and now they've got this thing with Burger King and these veggie burgers and all that, which they have toxins in them. They have all GMO, yeast and soy, and a lot of chemicals that haven't been tested yet. But it's advertised as non-meat, but it's poison.
You'll have to do the GMO part at another meeting.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm telling you, I can give people. In fact, I'll write them to you so that you give them to people instead of me giving them to people. There's a billion different things that GMOs can do to you that you have no idea about. Now, where can everybody get in touch with you?
Oh, thank you very much. My best email is mirabelle.nozawa@gmail.com. Mirabelle's my youngest daughter's middle name. mirabelle.nozawa@gmail.com. Or call me. Area code 206-940-4062. Love to talk to you. Okay, let's get well. Let's get well, and let's share that wellness.
I also want to say that to everybody too, and that when you're watching this video, okay, it's going to be out. It's going to be spread all over the place by tomorrow. When you're watching this, and you want to, you can click on the thing and subscribe to his videos. So do it. Click on the little thing on the side that says subscribe. Do it. Because the more people do that, the more people are going to listen to what he has to say. They will get in touch with him. He will get them help. Just like I will get them help by me sending them to him. I'll put my hands up in the air. He did it. But, it's one of those crazy things that we're like, hey, listen, you are talking to the one time, the one place that you can literally get help. Literally. We do answer emails. Just write to bobcharlesshow@live.com. That's all you do. And if you do that, we know you're listening. You know we're answering you. Because we love everybody. That's the way it is. That's the way the country works under R rule. God, I wish we could do that. Anyway, everybody, you have a great evening, a beautiful evening, a very safe, please, July 4th, since this is July 3rd. Everybody stay there in one piece. Be good. God bless. Bob Charles out.